Here. Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Laura Canfield Show, the Awaken to Happiness Now Global Series. Thank you so much for being here with us today. And today we have a new guest speaker on our show. Brooklin Rayne is with us, and we're going to be talking about the divine master frequency of forgiveness. Now, we all know about forgiveness. We all use forgiveness in our practices, right? But we're going to talk to Brooklin about the divine master frequency of forgiveness. And as well, we're going to be taking some live caller questions. We're going to be doing a guided activation and initiation of the Golden Christ Key Codex of Forgiveness. That includes a crystalline DNA and cellular water activation. And we're going to talk about what does it really mean to fully experience divine forgiveness, and how does divine forgiveness allow us to create more transparency in our lives, increase our scope of consciousness, and to disengage the victim-victimizer matrices. We're going to talk about sharing the journey and the wisdom of the Golden Christ Key Codex of Forgiveness, and what is the divine master frequency of forgiveness, and how is it called upon for soul alchemy. We're going to talk about, and we're going to share the spoken decree of divine forgiveness, and we're going to talk about what is the rainbow crystalline diamond arc of forgiveness, and how do we call upon it. All that, so much, right? So much more. And for those of you who don't know Brooklin, like I said, this is her first time on our show, so I'm so excited that she's here with us. She is an intuitive channel and a member of the Christos Ascended Master Collective. She has experienced many incarnations with the Sophia Christ Collective, Lyran Syrian Whites, Orifim, Ancient Pleiadians, and Hathors. And through her diamond sun crystal structure, she assists humans to return their original divine blueprint combined with their Christos template, allowing a fuller embodiment of the I Am presence and unity consciousness. So we're going to talk to Brooklin about her story as well, and let's get started. So Brooklin, welcome to the show. So glad you're here.
Thank you. Thank you. So glad to be here.
So the sound is choppy.
Yeah, I just saw that. Oh.
Yeah, I don't know. Just might be your internet connection. So Brooklin, since it's the first time you're here, can you just take a few minutes and talk to us a little bit about your story, how you got started? Because you weren't always doing this work, right?
No. Yes, sure. So, okay. So I guess it was, about somewhere in between 2012 and 2013, like so many we hear about, right? And, I had reached a pinnacle of discomfort on all levels: physical, mental, emotional, spiritual, you name it, right? Sort of like this internal storm. And I just literally hit this point. On the outside, everything looked great. I was at the height of my very conventional career as a chef of, at that point, I think 20 plus years. Running marathons, eating very healthy foods, everything, as such. Yet on the inside, not so much. So I hit this, what I called the surrender point. And I literally remember waking up that summer, crying and like throwing my hands up and saying to Source, okay, I don't have the answers. Clearly, I don't have the answers. So I surrender. And can you please, lead me in the direction of coming out of this, of healing this. And I heard a voice say, literally say, it's time to meditate. And, at that point in time, in my life experience, I've certainly knew what meditation was or had heard about it, but never was something that I had engaged in. So wasn't really what I was I don't know what I was expecting, probably what so many people expect in those moments, right? Just to make it all go away. But it wasn't going to be, quite that easy. So I really did engage. I figured out someone who could help me learn how to meditate. And I began the journey. And there was so much mind chatter and everything at that point in time that meditation seemed like an impossible feat. Like I wasn't sure exactly what it was, that was supposed to be taking place, but it seemed like it was up against a lot in my own personal storm. So, but I stuck with it. I think to kind of lead into further into, you know, our time together here today, the really the foundation which made it all possible was this unwavering faith and trust and surrender, that I'd already tried everything else, or what I thought, you know, was everything else. And so I was going to put all the faith, surrender, and trust into this. And so I showed up each day, got a little easier, take a couple steps forward, took a couple steps back, you know, and essentially about 3 months into this, looking at my, you know, peeking an eye open and like literally looking at my phone timer to see if the 15 minutes were up yet. I had this really profound experience. You know, one of those experiences that words could never really paint a true picture of. And all this light came in, and this presence, and, you know, tears flowing. And it was just, you know, what I could say at this point is, you know, it was just that pure connection with source and with Christ consciousness. And I ended up being in the meditation for over an hour. I didn't hear the clock go off or anything. And that was sort of like the first really big pivotal moment where it was like, okay, who are we really?
Mhm.
Who are we really? And where are we? And why are we here? So that really ignited a very accelerated path. And then, you know, all these synchronicities started taking place. And someone came, the same person who had recommended the meditation instructor, I ended up bumping into them, and they said, "Oh, you have to try this breath work." And I thought, well, I actually didn't think. I said to them, "Oh, isn't that, you know, isn't that what we're doing with meditation?" "Oh, no, 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 you got to try this." So then I tried that. And it was like, you know, unbelievable, the things that were taking place. It was like a completely different reality. And so it became very clear in a very short period of time. Okay, I think it's time to hang up the chef coat and hat. And there's something a bit bigger here that's meant to be explored, and so forth. So I slowly transitioned, of course, to the shock and surprise of pretty much everybody,
Mhm.
friends, family, and everybody else, because they were like, this makes no sense. You're at the height of your career, you know, and I was like, yeah, I understand. You know, I have compassion for how strange this may seem to everybody else. So, you know, I just kept following the little divine breadcrumbs and doing the breath work, doing the meditation. And then, you know, I got to this point very quickly where I thought, how do more people not know about this? You know, I was in that phase
Mhm.
of early ascension and excitement. It was like, I must stand on the top of a mountain and tell everybody about this. So I started to, I took some training in breath work, and, you know, still trying to figure out from a very 3D practical sort of place, like, how can I make this make sense, right? And so I went back to school to the Institute for Integrative Nutrition and became a certified health coach, and started to, you know, reinvent, you
Mhm.
know, what myself and why I'm here. But really early on, it became very clear as different, you know, beings and consciousness, Christ consciousness started coming into these experiences to show like, okay, you're here to be in the greatest service to all beings, seen and unseen, in accordance to, you know, the unified consciousness. And it was just felt so right. I had no idea what that meant. You know, it was like, that seems extremely lofty,
Mhm.
and you know, give me some specifics, please. Right? We always were
Yeah.
like, I need to have an understanding of what this means. So I'd have to say surrender is, you know, the continued theme, I think, for all of us at this point, because it was like, okay, nope, you're not going to get all the, just keep surrendering into it, keep surrendering. And then it was like, and then this person showed up, and then other light therapy showed up, and then you know, and it was like, just kept building and exploring and expanding, and everything kept kind of getting more magical.
Mhm.
And and
So
expansive.
So it's like surrender and trust, surrender and trust, surrender and trust, right?
Yes, and much to the discomfort,
Mm.
as previously mentioned, to everybody, like and I think a lot of us have can say this. Some of us are probably lucky that we were born into a family with other people from our multiversal lineage, but it doesn't appear to be the case in my particular story of this incarnation.
Yeah.
So
I hear you.
yeah. So yes, they're still trying to slowly digest it, and try to understand it. But
Oh, my family's just given up trying to understand. They've given up trying to figure it out or to get it. It's like, we don't know what you do, but like whatever you do, just go ahead, do it. We don't know what you do. It's like, okay.
Yeah. And when they get really confused, they just go and tell people that I'm still a chef, which I think is hilarious.
Well, speaking of chefs, guess what? I wish I would have brought it. Oh, my love, can you bring me that thing for a second? It's funny. It's funny. I have never been a cook. I mean, I can't cook. I can boil water. I can make scrambled eggs. I can unfreeze stuff, right? Put it in the oven, blah, blah, blah. But I've never been a cook. But today, guess what I got? Thank you. I got an apron. Because I started baking. It's like, okay, I'm gonna try baking, So I was like, I started baking, so I got myself an apron because I was getting messy. But it's like sometimes when you start on new experiences, people don't get it, right? Because my family's like, oh my God, what are you doing? You're baking? What? You're in the kitchen, It's like, what's going on? It's like, I'm just playing, right? So
yes,
even with energy, when we start working with energy, consciousness, it's like, I'm just playing with it to see, what happens, where this takes me next. Instead of being really serious about it, it's like, I'm going to make this my full-time job, blah, blah, blah. No, I'm just playing with it. I'm just seeing,
Yep.
and seeing what unfolds and see what happens next and etc. Right? So, which is what you did. You surrendered, you trusted, you just like, I'm just going to see what happens next. I'm going to see what unfolds, see what next step comes forward, right?
Absolutely. Yes. And it was and has been and continues to be a lot of fun. For sure.
And that's what it's about. It's about having fun, right? So awesome. I love it. But I have to say, your story is like, usually, I can relate to most people's stories, right? Like their how they started on the path, etc. I can usually relate, but in your case, no. You know why? Because I did not surrender. I did not trust. I was fighting. I was like, I don't want to be like my dad, because my dad is a very spiritual person, but very Indian, right? I'm like, I don't want to be a guru. I don't want to follow gurus. I don't want to do that. So I resisted, right? And the thing is, it's like, but still, my guides, my team, etc., they pulled and dragged me along even when I resisted. So that's how you know when something is meant to be for you, when in spite of you not following along, they pull you along, right? So for some people it's easier because you trusted and you surrendered. For some of us it's more challenging because we resisted and we're like, no, I'm going to do it differently, kind of thing.
Well, to that point, leading up to that moment, there was a strong resistance. I mean, they bailed me out of lots of situations where they were like, there she is again.
Falling into that old pattern. It's like, why doesn't she just get it? Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. There was a lot of face palms. My guides and angels were like, oh, God, not again.
Exactly. Yes. I compacted it all into that period of 38 years prior to finally saying, okay, like I fully, I'm listening, I'm hearing, okay.
Yeah, awesome, beautiful. I love it. Thank you. And like for everyone listening, we all have different stories, right? We all have different paths, but usually all of our paths lead to one thing: service to the greater consciousness, humanity, etc. And also trusting and surrendering. Following the path, allowing ourselves to just go on the path and get our head out of the way, right?
Absolutely.
It's a journey. Oh, and yeah, I don't even try to be perfect. It's like, what's perfection? Perfection is just judgment. All right, so so as I said at the beginning of the call, I said we all, you know, a lot of us use forgiveness in our practices. It's one of my key tools, you know, for healing, clearing, everything is forgiveness. And I strongly believe in that. I know there are some people who do not prescribe to forgiveness, but I do, and it's worked for me, you know, really, really well, right? I like it. But here we're talking about, you know, divine forgiveness. So what does it mean to fully experience divine forgiveness?
Yeah, it's a great question, because honestly, you know, I thought I was practicing forgiveness for, you know, for the better part of my life. I was never one to really hold on to any resentment. I was probably to a fault would just, you know, like, oh yeah, it's okay. It's, you know, it's good. But of all places, I was at my children's school. I think it was probably about going on 2 years ago now. And they have these little gatherings with the children and with parents. It's in the chapel. And so we went in, and there was the speaker there, and she started talking, and she was engaging, you know, the children. And she said, so what is forgiveness, right? And so all these cute little answers were coming up, and I was like, wow, these children are so dialed in and insightful. And then, so, you know, she kind of went around and asked and so on. And then when it got back to her, she, and, you know, and I can't remember her words verbatim, but it was like, forgiveness is when we truly dissolve all negative energy that was exchanged between two people or a group of people in any given, you know, situation. And it was like one of the most profound aha moments I've had, you know, on this path, where it's like, you know, right? It's like, yeah, we understand it, but then it's something else when it drops in and we start to embody it, right? And
Yeah.
we start to truly like pull that in through the heart center. And I was like, oh, wow. So I had this whole other experience from that point on. in that, you know, it's like everything was still happening, but the guides dropped in and they showed this whole, you know, hologram, this whole scenario where, and they were bringing in different examples of when, you know, and showing sort of the quantum entanglement that takes place on all these different levels, like within all the different systems within our energy bodies and physical bodies. It was like this really beautiful light, you know, display. And it was like, of course, you know, it's like taking all the little things and breadcrumbs and things and knowledge from this book on and that book, and like bringing it into like full scope of, you know, into this whole more dialed in embodiment of what forgiveness truly is. And then they were showing, almost as though like, you know, in a classroom setting, as from the heart, right, through the intention of truly saying, okay, I'm going to surrender. I'm going to surrender into this experience. I truly desire to disengage both myself and anyone else who participated in holding and tethering and entangled, you know, the entanglement of these negative energy signatures and beliefs and da 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 da. So they were showing how when that happens, right, it was all in this like really beautiful light display of how, you know, we then are led into this greater true space of sovereignty and freedom, right? Because it's not just an understanding of, okay, I'm going to say sorry to this person. It's I'm going to dive in deep and go in there and really, you know, choose to alchemize and to release these deep traumas and so forth. So right after that took place, I went to experience, as I had done previously a few times, this theta sound healing chamber, this light and sound chamber. And I didn't really have any special intention upon entering into it other than just releasing that which no longer serves me and bringing in whatever is in line with my highest and best interest in that of the all that is, right? So as I went into this meditation in this chamber, this whole initiation began to take place. Like there was so much magenta light that came through. It was blinding. I opened my eye because I was like, oh, is this the machine? Like it must be on a new setting, right? But it wasn't the machine at all, right? So I was like, okay, get ready. Something big is going to happen here. So, I went in and just went in and staying with the breath, and this whole collective of divine feminine Christed masters all stepped forward, and they began to show, and they had there was this like magnificent spectrum of rainbow like colors. I know it's hard to even imagine what a color that you haven't seen before, but there were colors that I had not seen before. And I was like, wow, like, mind blowing. And so it came in this tremendous arc. It looked like a rainbow that was sort of facing, like, the sort of the curve of it, if you will, was facing and pouring in towards the heart center. And so they came and they explained that, they were going to take me through this initiation into the master frequency of forgiveness, into this deep cellular understanding of the true alchemy of forgiveness. And so it was profound. And as they stepped in, they started to show all of these movie screens that had different experiences, primarily throughout this incarnation. And there were a few kind of on the outskirts that were, of other timelines. And they brought forth one of the screens, and they said, and they started walking through this whole teaching and understanding of, of what took place there. But the first thing they brought forth, which I think is one of the key ingredients to embodying this, is coming into that place of really connecting and identifying ourselves as source consciousness, right? As individual expressions of source, coming out of any playing of the role of victim or victimizer, and saying, okay, I'm going to come and be the witnessing presence of this. I'm going to dial into that place, that really, vast and infinite space of neutrality. And from here, bring in that intention. And so, in that sort of attuning to that, right, then they brought forth this video screen of different experiences, and they walked me across this crystalline diamond rainbow arc. I was like, wow, I hope I get to remember exactly. I thought to myself, there is no way I'm going to remember all of this. You guys better help me out here. So, as I was walking across this profound, geometric sort of bridge that showed up, I was on one side, and the people that were from this particular experience and exchange were on the other. And even in just whatever it was, the transmission that they were bringing forth and showing in that way, there was like this immediate dialing into sort of seeing myself in those people, and them see, like this mirror, right? This whole immediate engagement with true unified consciousness, right? That we are not separate of one another, that we do come in here and we choose to play these different roles for the purpose of expansion. And so again, we hear these things and we know them, right? And we understand them on an intellectual level. But then to have it in this way, it was just a more of like a full like dialing in of it. So they walked us across this bridge, and they brought in a prayer or decree or transmission of, forgive me, forgive you, love me, love you. And as they were doing that, we were watching, right? We were watching and witnessing the soul alchemy taking place, this transmuting of all these different little imprints in the cellular water and the DNA in this holographic form, right? So it's forgive me, forgive you, love me, love you, compassion for me, compassion for you, and gratitude for me, and gratitude for you. Sounds very similar, as we know, to the Ho'oponopono.
Mhm.
And yet what they were showing is, the consciousness sort of bandwidth of these frequencies of unconditional love and compassion and gratitude. And when we bring them all together, like how huge and expansive and and powerful this combination becomes. And then as we walked across, and of course I'm bawling, right? There are tears flowing out. I'm like, probably snot coming, just streaming everywhere. And and get to the end of it, and it was like this great peace and sovereignty and freedom. And it was so tangible that I knew, like I had a knowing in that moment that something big had truly changed. It wasn't just in my imagination or being, created, as it was like a felt sense throughout the whole body, right? And so that's why they were calling it a master frequency. And it went on, and all these different experiences coming forth. And one of the biggest things that was the most challenging was forgiving myself for certain things that I had engaged in, right? And I was like, wow. And they were showing that, like how we have such a hard time forgiving ourselves.
Yeah.
And yet, again, it's like, we all signed up to have these different experiences. So they call it the master frequency because it encompasses and embodies so many of these, massive bandwidths of pure source consciousness, and light. Yeah.
Beautiful. Wow. That would have been really not just transformational, but I mean, like, yeah, as I'm listening to you and as I'm processing it for myself, I'm feeling like a deep sense of knowing and a deep sense of peace, with myself, for anything that some of the stuff that I possibly engaged in that I have not quite completely forgiven, right? I'm feeling that peace, as well as you're sharing your story. But the thing is, like with the forgiving ourselves, like you said, it is the hardest to I mean, I held on to something for 25 years, and that I think is what really stopped me from being all that I can be and could be, because I was judging myself and persecuting myself and not loving myself, right? Not being allowance and compassion for myself, so that's why I'm saying forgiveness is a huge tool, and it's amazing. But I love this process with the golden rainbow arc, it's like, oh, just so beautiful, absolutely beautiful. Yeah, we tend to judge ourselves like crazy, right? Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah. And so one of the things that they're chatting away about right now, and they want to just, kind of bring into this is, and of course, they being this divine feminine Christ consciousness collective, is that, if we were only to desire to choose one tool that held the grandest invitation and scope of soul alchemy, let it be forgiveness, because of how all encompassing. And what they were showing then, and what they continue to show and they bring in now, is like, if you, any situation or experience that you take, that you just bring forth even a glimpse into your present moment, and bring yourself into the present moment, into that place, and you bring it, immediately starts to shift it, and one kind of silly example that I often use, and I've gotten so much lightness out of it, is driving in the car. It brings such an ample and abundant opportunity to forgive, right? To forgive ourselves for being impatient, right? And to forgive others too, right?
Right.
For making some moves that are, could end up in a really bad situation. And so, I use that because I spend a lot of time in the car. I'm a mom of 3. And so I'm constantly driving all over and, spending a lot of time in the car. But, when I start to find myself going into an old pattern of reacting, right? And, thinking to myself like, oh, come on, you dummy, or something, inappropriate like that. I find myself be now sort of just, okay, going into that place of like, okay, let me walk a moment in this person's shoes. Let me connect to, what did they go through today that has created this place for them to where, they're not totally dialed in, and they're, and right. And okay, I'm just going to go ahead and, whip up some rainbow forgiveness here and dissolve, because really another thing that they want to show and share is, and not to create any felt sense of contraction or like further judgment of self or anything, of course, the exact opposite, right? But the thing is, even in something that seems so insignificant like that, right? That we think something of that nature that's like, me against you, or seemingly insignificant, even just in that thought, or saying something out loud that is, that is the frequency of impatience or frustration. It goes into the quantum field of all that is. So every single thought and every single word and everything that we do is creating the collective experience. And we know that, right? But when we dial it in sometimes into something like that, and realize, okay, so every time that I make a conscious awareness to dissolve, my knee-jerk reaction, and bring in this band of forgiveness, regardless if the other person's aware of it or not, on some level of consciousness, they are aware of it, right? Their higher self, that the totality of their energetic field is aware of it. It's so powerful.
Absolutely. And that's the thing. It's like, because this is a tool that's been used in the industry for a long time, some people might, think less of it, because like, oh, it's just forgiveness. Yeah, what big deal? No, it's like, no, it is the tool, right? And, to help us to love ourselves more, to love ourselves completely, to allow us to be more in acceptance and allowance of ourselves and others, right? So there are some questions in the chat. Do you want to take some questions?
Sure, yeah.
Let me just go back and find it. And I know Shelley has her hand up as well, so just give me 1 second. There was a question here. Okay, 1 second. Do thoughts and memories of events come back to mind once one has forgiven? Sure.
Yes, that is such a great, So to your point, Alara, absolutely. Because sometimes they just come back as a reminder, or they come back to, they're just floating through our energetic field, something outside of ourselves, because we are our extrasensory perception, and all these gifts and skills are, finally becoming more and more attuned. So it could be simply that something or someone that you came into contact with mirrors the vibrational frequency of that experience that you once had. And so it's being brought back, not necessarily to say to you, oh, this is still left in your field to further transmute, but it could be coming up as a, oh, yeah, okay, this is what that person's going through right now. Or, oh, okay, somehow, perhaps even the people that even though you do your alchemy, right? And of course, we are all one, but we show up because we have free will, as we know. And we engage in this, right? Because this is something I asked them when I was in the midst of this initiation. I said, well, you know, they didn't choose necessarily to participate in this soul alchemy, right? Those people that were being brought forth from these experiences, you know, maybe their free will chooses not to engage. And what they said is, on some level of quantum, you know, experience and entanglement, there's a transmuting and a disengaging from it. You won't be able to do the heavy lifting for them, because that would, you know, be infringing upon their free will. But what you do is you free up a lot more space, because there's no longer that webbing and entanglement. So then they have a greater opportunity, should they choose to, you know, they don't have the heavy lifting of, you know, of both energetic charges, if you will, that now they only have their own to deal with.
Right.
And I was like, oh, that's hopeful.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
Oh, so Martin said, this is where I feel stuck. I feel like betrayed God and myself. Trust issues. How do I forgive?
Yes. So that's the beauty of source, right? Is that, you know, beyond this third dimension and beyond our sort of the veils of illusion that we've chosen to come in and be heavily sort of caped in, right? Source and God are all forgiving, right? And I think that, you know, the embodiment of Yeshua who came forth, because forgiveness is really sort of often interchangeable with such, you know, with universal Christ consciousness, because of the totality of what it all holds within the master frequency of it, right? And so that's it's part of the veils of illusion to think that we can't be forgiven by God, or something that we've done is so heinous that now there lies fragments of ourself that are no longer worthy of being embraced and accepted and loved and healed. That's all part of the, you know, the kind of the separation matrix and the illusion, right? Every single thing, no matter what, if we bring forth the intention to heal it and bring it back home, is worthy of acceptance and unconditional love and compassion. And I think that's one of the biggest things we're butting up against right now, you know, in our society, is that these big bandwidths of really kind of the underbelly of society that have been taking place, like some pretty gnarly things, right? That have been taking place for a really long time, are coming up and being exposed. And what, you know, and what a lot of these Christ, you know, collectives are saying is, you know, it's all about meeting them with in a frequency that is different from that which created those situations to begin with. So if we say to, you know, and it's so hard, right? Because we have deep, deep love and connection for small children and for these people that have experienced these really bad and heinous, you know, experiences. And yet, if we continue to condemn and, you know, and project anger and separation, we continue as a, you know, a collective consciousness on the same spiral continuum until we all reach a critical mass of desiring to truly, you know, to forgive, to let go, to come into this place of higher conscious awareness, to realize that this is all part of the game here, all part of the illusion, right? Beyond as our eternal selves, we are not any of those things. We are not any of those roles of the victim or the victimizer. We are pure source light and love, right? And so but yet, as we know, we're here and we decided to come and play this game. And I mean, I don't know about you guys, but I'm like, what were we thinking?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, we weren't.
What were we thinking? Like what? You know, but we did. And you know, and those that are gathered here undoubtedly are, you know, big space holders and big beacons of and masters of light who come here to be able to hold that space, right, of forgiveness and hold those bandwidths of compassion and love. And so that when everybody else is ready and tired of playing into that game, you know, they can access that.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's a step-by-step process. Absolutely. Shelley, you want to unmute yourself?
Yes, thank you so much, Alara. Thank you for taking my call.
Sure. What's your question for Brooklyn?
I just want to say I did work with Brooklyn from another group, and for everybody to know, Brooklyn High,
Hi, Shelley.
So exquisite. It was an exquisite experience. So I don't think I ever asked this during the group, Brooklyn, and I know it's maybe no true answer to it, but
Shelley, something happened to your microphone. Can you talk a little louder or move? Are you covering it?
No, can you hear me?
No. Maybe you were covering it?
No.
At the beginning, you were great.
Hear me now?
Really faintly.
So odd, I'm in the same position.
Something changed. I mean, it's interesting. We had microphone issues at the beginning, right? Sound issues.
Oh.
Hey, hi, Shelley. Now we really can't hear you.
Oh, wow.
Oh, okay, now we can. Go ahead, talk. Just talk.
So my question is, we feel we've done so much forgiveness, and yet we still have illness. And I know, like I said, it's such a tough topic, but do you feel that can go? Do you feel that if the illness continues through our lives, it's just something karmically, you know, and we're working at not having karma anymore also, if we do this forgiveness, and I believe we can rid of karma, but do you feel that if the illness isn't going away, let's say, that it is our mental belief, or do you feel that it's just something our journey is meant to be learning?
Yeah, I think, oh, Alara, were you going to say something? Oh, there was some strange feedback or something. Shelley, I think that, you know, I feel that everybody comes in with such a unique collection of assignments and agreements, right? But what the guides are saying in this now moment, and where everything is aligned and where we are as a collective, that we truly are meant to experience perfect health in every cell, if that's something that we choose and desire and hold that intention of. So, you know, yet it's you know, it's not always, doesn't always feel easy, right? Because to your point, some of us come in with, you know, with a heavier, we choose biologicals, right? We choose our biological lineages, and we come in with a far more expansive sort of Rolodex of genetic predispositions and, you know, densities within the physical body and within the physical DNA. And then additionally, some of us come and we bring forth those patterns of dis-ease and disharmony from within, you know, the cellular tissues and waters from other timelines as well. So for some people, that, you know, that quicker, more instantaneous healing through things such as forgiveness and going in, you know, deeper and deeper happens in short order. And for others, it's meant to be a process where there's, you know, sort of like time released, if you will, like, you know, there's still more to learn, more to you know, to understand from it. And again, and I know sometimes people get really mad at this, and I understand with deep compassion, is that the more we surrender and we, you know, and come out, where am I holding resistance in this, right? Where is there any resistance in this? You know, is there a place where I can go even deeper? Are there beliefs, whether, you know, are there beliefs deeply imprinted within my cells somewhere that, you know, that I'm not worthy of that perfect health, right? And a lot of that does seem to be focused in the solar plexus, right? these ancestral lineages and strong weighted, patterns of, feeling an unworthiness to be healed, or an unworthiness to come into such a place of sovereignty and connection with our God essence, that it's just like there's so many layers to it, right? To the disentangling. And so the more you spend your time in awareness of the thoughts, because a lot of people don't even realize too that they have these subconscious thoughts playing out that are linking themselves to the story of their illness, right? They're repeating over and over, I am this disease, I had this disease. And it's not a judgment thing or a blame thing at all. It's just, there are layers of programming that are playing out. So, really, it's unique to every person, and we know this. So there's not just one answer to that question, but the more we can really dial into our present moment awareness and truly be the keeper of where we're delving out our conscious currency, our thoughts, and we dial in. The more we dial in and set clear intentions, and whether it's in the form of an I am presence, or or not an I am presence, I'm sorry, an I am statement or a decree, directing the cellular water, directing our breath, directing our intention, and programming it so that we come into a place of greater opportunity to come into that place of health that we're desiring, if that makes sense. Yeah. And there's so many layers to it, right? It's like, I know we all know this, just when we think, oh, yeah, okay. It's like, boom, right? More of your higher self and oversoul technology comes in and drops in. And then you have all this other multiversal fragments of yourself that are like wanting to come in and be healed and stuff. So it's, again, it's just, okay, let me just keep going and being in the flow of it. Let me just keep trying to be in the present moment and not define myself by any story of what has been, right? Yeah.
Yeah, awesome. Good. Thank you. Good question, Shelley. Thank you.
Thank you, Shelley.
Angela was asking, my challenge is forgiveness, or difficulty to forgive has kept me in my cycle. There is repeating thoughts, fighting to get unstuck, and questioning self. That feeling of bliss and peace is what I'm searching for. We need the formula.
Yes. I can relate, because I truly feel like that was this, poop storm that I was in, right? This looping cycle. It was like you're in there, you're having, your higher self brings you to put such a question in the chat field, right? So you have this awareness, but then there's all these things that keep kind of propelling you towards keeping you in these patterns, right? If that even makes sense. And that it's sort of like you're viewing it taking place, you have tools from an intellectual standpoint, you've tried to apply them, but you still find yourself like kind of looping in it, is what I think I'm hearing you say. And so I would say, and what comes through right now, is, the sacred source consciousness of breath. Really remembering and connecting that, when we call upon this breath, the breath of life, right? The breath of God, it's far, far beyond just what we so often see it as, is just, oxygen. Oh, we just need the oxygen. We need to do this. This is just part of the mechanics of our humanness, right? Yes. And thank God for it, right? Yet it's truly far beyond that. It's a vehicle, and it's an alchemizer, and it's a pathway. And so when we have a clear intention, and we call and we bring in that breath, right? And we connect our intention to the breath, and we bring it in, even if and some people just can't bring themselves into a place of meditation, but there are other ways to do this. You can walk, you can, you could do any sort of physical activity where you're just incorporating your intention and intent, and this intentional breath. And know that the breath plus intention equals profound alchemy and healing miracles. So when we bring that breath in and allow it to go through, it's going into the cellular water, it's going into our cellular DNA, and it's bringing and programming those intentions. And so it really helps to kind of move beyond, and it takes patience, right? It takes patience and it takes showing up consistently, just like anything else. It's like, because, I say, if I can get past where I was, and if I could stick with meditation and have it work, then anyone can do it. Because I had the grandest mind chatter, it was of epic proportion, right? So falling upon the intention, bringing in the breath, and on the exhale, thinking of it releasing and letting go. And on the inhale, bringing in more of what it is that you desire, divine peace, joy, reconnection with yourself as your I am presence, whatever it is. It's so simple. And a lot of times people get mad at me. They're like, stop it, I've been hearing this forever, but it's true, right? And now, even more than ever, as all of this unseen, and for some of us, more and more seen, assistance coming in, these light codes and frequencies, it's game on, right? We're abundantly supported by the universe right now. So it's really a matter of saying, okay, I'm just gonna surrender into this. I'm gonna connect with my intention. I'm gonna connect with the breath, and and I'm gonna show up for myself consistently in doing that, right? Because it takes time. The thinking mind is so stubborn. Yeah. Like, kudos to whoever created that, because it's like, wow.
It's a great tool. Yeah, absolutely. Great tool to keep us distracted, to keep us off of our path, to keep us, looping in different stories and blah, blah, blah. Yeah, absolutely. It's great.
Yay.
All right. There's a question from Layla. Layla. I've been doing Ho'oponopono as a practice to truly release my trauma from childhood trauma. I was told by an intuitive that what I need to do in actuality is to accept. Can you explain this to me? I'll let you talk first, Brooklyn, and then I have something to say about that.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I think sometimes when we get guidance such as like, it's, we need to accept, there are lots of really important things that go into the explaining what that means, that perhaps are left out. And when we're traumatized and we're in a state of trauma, and that trauma is really on the forefront of our cellular experience, having someone tell us just to accept it is really a nondescript and oftentimes something that will cause us to go even deeper into, the despair, right?
Yeah.
So I think that probably well-intended, perhaps. I think part of that process of that letting go, right? Of letting go of the trauma, letting go of our identifying ourselves as that experience and as that trauma, instead of maybe accepting, perhaps a gentler and more grander invitation would be to really just allow yourself to experience and to bring forth, and the voices that need to be heard that are a part of that experience, bring them all in, and and allowing ourselves to slowly, at your own pace, release, right?
Yeah.
Release. But you may feel angry, and you're going to be pissed, and you're going to have all these things, and those things are okay. You want to honor whatever needs to come up to release and to and to be experienced. And yet ultimately, again, if you can bring yourself to that place bringing in the forgiveness, knowing that it's really the biggest gift of self-love and self-compassion. Even when we're forgiving someone for doing something really heinous, it's still, we feel like, because we've been so brainwashed to think that it's, when we forgive, we're saying it's okay. We're telling that person, oh, it's okay what they've done, right? No way.
No.
We're saying, I have an understanding, I have a cosmic universal love for you as being, a part of the totality of all that is. I have compassion for you for whatever you went through to lead you to desiring to do something so heinous, right? I'm grateful at some point we get to that place. I'm grateful for having the opportunity so I could expand into something even bigger in way of self-compassion and self-love as having gone through this painful experience, right? Yet there's unwavering discernment and boundaries that it's not okay. And you'll, and I choose not to ever engage in this sort of exchange again, moving forward, right?
Yeah, beautiful.
Yeah.
Exactly, absolutely. And so, yes, I mean, eventually you will accept it, but you're not at that point right now. You still have to do a lot of the healing work for that trauma before you can get to the point of acceptance, but yes, eventually we do accept situations, as we have a higher perspective and understanding of situations. But when you're still dealing with trauma, when somebody says just accept, well, I don't want to accept it, it's like, no. So, but yes, forgiveness will work, but it does take time. There's some things you have to continually work on as each layer comes up. You work to forgive that layer. The layers of energy, layers of trauma, layers of awarenesses that come up. That's when you do the forgiveness work. So it does take time. It is a process, but it does work, and you will be transformed, and you will get to the point of acceptance later on. But when you're first starting out on a healing journey for trauma of some sort, any sort, it takes time. So, give yourself a break, okay? And, if Ho'oponopono is not working, then use the divine forgiveness decree that Brooklyn brought forward, okay? Because sometimes when something doesn't work anymore, it's time to choose a different tool. So, look at Brooklyn's work and see how that feels for you, okay? All right, so I want to take a question from Petra, and I think Martin had the same type of question. How do I forgive a system, like a group of people, like a court system, institution, etc.?
Yeah, that's a great question. Because as we know, right, there's so many, and depending on that system, some of them that we know of that are, thousands of years in the works, right? We've had so many, perhaps some of us, incarnations to experience all the different avenues of these, and conditions and sort of imprisonment of these systems, right? So the longer we've been sort of engaging in them and different aspects of them, and family members, et cetera, the more layers, to Laura's point, there are of, okay, let me just keep showing up, keep moving through the layers, seeing what wants to be brought forth, to be seen, to be heard, to be released, and just, working through. Again, though, just know this: every single time we show up and bring forth the intention of forgiveness, whether for ourselves, whether for others, whether for, our disdain or, anger with a particular system, we are assisting, the collective of humanity and the basically the quantum all there is in a greater invitation and expansion of that love, of that unified consciousness. So every word we speak, every thought we have, every action we take, is affecting. It can affect in a, in a way of creating more light and more lightweightedness, or it can have, you know, the effect of creating more density and locking us into further engagement with it. So, you know, it's when we're dealing with a bigger system like that, it just truly requires more patience. Um, and I think it's beautiful that you bring that up, because, you know, there are lots of things, especially within the last 2 linear years, that have really come to the surface in way of that, right? It's just like, wow. But the more we can find our way to that place of present moment, to that place of neutrality, not to be mistaken with complacency, but neutrality, where we're looking at a more from a higher perspective, from a higher vantage point of conscious awareness, right? And we realize, okay, by doing my own releasing of these negative thoughts and beliefs and emotions I have around this, you know, I'm creating a greater opportunity for everybody else to be able to do the same. So hopefully that answered.
Absolutely.
the
Thank you.
question.
Yeah, we're just going to take a few more quick questions. Destiny, I think you're on the phone. You want to unmute yourself? Because I want to make sure we have time for the activation.
Hi.
Hello?
Hey, can you hear me?
Yeah,
Yes.
Go ahead.
Hello?
Yeah, go ahead. Destiny, go ahead.
Oh my gosh, we're having some funny things happen with audio.
Yeah, really interesting. Oh my goodness. Okay. I don't know if she's going to come back or not, but so Joy is asking, how do we forgive ourselves for events even before this life, but from many previous incarnations that we still carry the energy?
Okay, so it's the same application, right? Because really there is, I know, again, this is something we kind of understand-ish from an intellectual standpoint, but it's becoming more and more tangible, and it will continue that, you know, there is truly no past life and present, you know, and future, right? It's everything's happening simultaneously. So when you connect to this present moment, the present moment can be equated to the connection point to the totality of everything in existence through all space and time. And I know that sounds a little like, but press me on this one. So when we choose to connect into this present moment, and we have a knowing, as you have, right, of, okay, I've had this awareness, I've had these Akashic recalls or regressions, I know I've been playing this out, right? When we connect to the present moment, we connect to our breath or whatever tools we choose, and our intention of releasing it through forgiveness or whatever other alchemizing frequencies, we can set the intention additionally, although it will take place pretty much without even setting the intention, but it just, you know, amplifies it throughout all space-time continuums, right? So I choose to release all fear. I am free of all fear, past, present, future, throughout all space-time continuums. So whatever shows up in that way that's imprinted within your cellular water and your DNA is, you know, an expression, likely, yes, of some things that have taken place in this lifetime, but all of our lifetimes, all of the memories, all of our Akashic history of our lifetimes are embedded in our cellular DNA and our cellular water. So when we, you know, are doing this ascension process or inscension process, everything that's, you know, in the totality of all that is, it exists here presently. So you have the power in this now moment. This is a long-winded way of saying you have the present in this now moment, or power in this now moment, to alchemize anything that you choose to alchemize throughout this lifetime or any other timeline that you've participated in. And to the point of earlier questions, sometimes those patterns are bigger, so it just takes some patience. You got to move through the layers. Okay, just because you still feel it Got to have that faith, trust, and surrender. Every time I show up to do it, I'm chipping a little bit off, chipping a little bit off, chipping a little bit off. When we let go of our attachment to when it's going to happen, where it's going to happen, and all those sort of 3D anchors that keep us sending mixed signals to the universe, right? When we just come in and we get clear on the intention and then we release the resistance to it, you'll find that those things alchemize and transmute pretty quickly.
Beautiful, thank you. Yeah, absolutely. There's, if you have awarenesses of different lifetimes, different energies from previous lifetimes, yeah, you can definitely work on forgiveness for all of that. All right, so I want to take a few minutes and talk about the special offer, and then I want to make sure we do the activation. So, the time has gone by so quickly. It's like, oh my God, right?
I know.
So for those of you, let's see, let me get the link. It's laura.at/show/Brooklyn4. 1 second, I'm going to put the link in the chat. So Brooklyn, can you talk a little bit about the packages? There's two, package A and package B.
Sure. Yes. So I believe package A has a pre-recorded six transmissions on the divine forgiveness.
Mhm.
So you go into these 60-minute, they're video recordings, and these transmissions take you on a journey through the different energy portals and systems within our bodies, physical, mental, emotional, spiritual, bringing forth lots of different collectives of light that are there assisting in this whole process of opening up greater ability to really drop in to your heart and to release those things that you've been holding on to bring forth those things from your cellular water, past lives, present lives, et cetera, to really release. So so that's a 6 on the 6th one. It's a question and answer. So so that's the Divine Forgiveness series. And there's a little bit of channeling prior to going into the channeled transmission. So a little bit of conscious channeling, and then you go into this meditative transmission. And I will say, just because I know I often get a lot of questions, people ask, oh, if I do this, can I do them all in a row? And certainly you can, but it would be probably more advisable to do one per week and allow the process of unwinding to take place and so forth.
Yeah.
And then additionally in the package A, I do a daily, Monday through Friday, I have a breathwork container, a community of people who show up, and we do live transmissions. I channel similarly to what we'll experience at the end, but over 75 minutes. You're engaging in this very rhythmic, sacred breath of resurrection. And so we stay in that rhythm of breath, or I mean, everybody can choose whatever breath they want, but that's typically the breath that is encouraged and people participate in. And so there's a guided transmission with light language and sound. And then there's this beautiful period at the end of 15, 20 minutes of integration, and where we hold space for each other and people can share. So if for those of you who feel like maybe you're a bit stuck or you need something to kind of get in there and assist in, this deeper soul alchemy, it's a really beautiful space with a lot of wonderful people. And then package B are both of those two. Oh, so that's 1 month. I'm sorry. So you get a 1 month participation in that breath work along with the Divine Forgiveness series. And then package B is the Divine Forgiveness series, the breath work for 1 month. Oh, and you get the recordings of all the breath work. So you would technically get about 20 to 25 recordings. And then private session, a 30-minute private session. I had to try to remember my own package. I was like, wait, what?
Yeah, a 30-minute private session. So can you talk to us a little bit about what that 30-minute session with you would look like?
Sure. So in the 30 minutes, I generally beforehand, I reach out in an email communication just to touch base, to send you a Zoom link, and also to ask you if there are specific intentions that you wanted to explore during our time together. And that's not required, but sometimes it really helps to start to, get the guides and everybody sort of rolling in a more focused direction. And I will tap in ahead of time. I spend about 15 minutes to half an hour ahead of time and see what wants to come through and, in response to your intention, or if there is no intention, I set the intention of calling forth whatever's in the highest and best interest to be called forth in accordance with the highest divine law and order. So your guides will come through a lot of times. Sometimes if it's more physical, if you have something physical, then the guides and beings and collectives that come through to work more with the physical body come through, and it could be more of a transmission, like an activation of sorts, where we're going into your field and doing that. So it kind of just meet everybody where they are and let it unfold organically.
Beautiful, thank you. So package A, like Brooklyn said, is the 6 recorded video course for the divine forgiveness, plus the 1 month membership of the breathwork, 1 month. So, and the 1 month is like every day, 5 days, well, 5 days a week, not the weekend. And then package B is all of that plus a 30-minute session for $222. So I definitely suggest getting either one, but if you'd like to work with Brooklyn one-on-one, get the 30-minute extra session with her, pick package B. But oh my goodness, the breathwork membership is like every day, Monday to Friday, for like an hour and 15 minutes or whatever, right?
Yeah.
And you get recordings of all of those.
Yeah.
That's amazing. Oh my God, that's a lot. So if you miss it, if you can't attend live, you still get the recording and you can still do it and process through it and receive all the benefits from it.
Yep, exactly.
Awesome.
Yes.
Wow. That's great. I love it. All right, cool. So please do take a look at those. Those are available at alara.at/show/Brooklyn4. Okay, so Destiny, are you back? And then after that, we'll go into the, hello.
Hey, Laura.
Hi.
No, you got a lot going on. Just go ahead and do what she's doing. My
Okay.
question can wait.
All right. So
Thank
stay
you.
stay
Thank
for
you
the
so much.
activation. Okay.
Yes.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Awesome. Good. Thank you. All right. So I just wanted to Joy. No, it was not Joy. It was somebody else. Oh, I lost it. There was a comment from somebody. Anna says, some of you may want to look into and join in for Brooklyn's Sacred Daily Breath Group. Myself and others have found it profoundly effective for cultivation of transmutation and syncing with very high bliss frequencies. Truly powerful, especially on a consistent basis. Awesome. Good. Thank you, Anna.
Oh, thank you, Anna.
All right. So let's do the activation. So tell us a little bit about the activation before we get started.
Sure. I never quite know until we get started exactly what's going to take place, but we, of course, probably are all feeling a tremendous presence from the Christ consciousness collectives of many. And so I believe we'll be taken into the sort of the portal and frequency bandwidth of the divine master frequency of forgiveness, and just feels like a very gentle and loving and nurturing space that we're going to be taken into. And so, my recommendation or encouragement would be to really connect with whatever your intention is, whatever you want to release, whatever you want to forgive yourself or others for, and then just believe that, allow yourself to trust in the infinite creators that you are, and just fully receive. So.
Beautiful. Thank you. All right, let's get started.
Okay. All right. Okay, so just allowing yourselves, whether you're lying down or seated, to get comfortable. Um, whatever format of connecting with the sacred source consciousness of breath that feels most supportive for you right now. That could be deep, nourishing inhales and exhales, or just a soft, regular breath. But connecting with that breath, knowing that it is this grand consciousness and our friend and an assistant, and really carrying through and within the soul alchemy. And so just coming into that high heart space, that upper heart, and connecting with your heart, connecting with this now moment that we're all experiencing and sharing together. And seeing if you can offer yourself your physical, mental, emotional, and spiritual bodies even greater permission to just surrender into receiving in this now moment, allowing ourselves to take off all the seriousness, layers of seriousness, layers of heaviness, put them to the side, and allow ourselves to really just surrender. Setting the general intention for all that have gathered here, calling in the greatest healing miracles capable of manifesting here and now with perfect grace and ease in accordance to the highest divine law and order. Feeling now flowing down and all around us, above, below, side to side, and all around us, Divine Mother Sophia Source's womb of all that is, the eternal womb of Sophia Source, the everything and the nothing. Bring us into the 0 point connection field and allowing us to gently, in a supported way, to really surrender in this now moment, bringing in a clear intention of releasing that which no longer serves us and calling home more of our wholeness, the fragments of self that have been left behind through different experiences, and calling in now as we experience many guides and beings of the Christos Collective, of the Divine Feminine Ascended Master Collective of Christ Consciousness, Yeshua, Mahavatar Babaji, Buddha, stepping forward in a big way and allowing for us now to come into this grand portal of the rainbow crystalline diamond arc of forgiveness as this spectrum and living light library of pure diamond rainbow light begins to come and flow in and around us, flowing down ever so gently through our central channels, cascading down like a soft stream and bringing forth exactly what we need in this now moment to further give permission to opening up our hearts and allowing for this masterful master frequency to shine its alchemical light within, allowing us and giving us the permission to fully be present, to bring forth as these many masters and guides place their hands upon your heart, to bring forth that permission to opening up, coming out of any felt sense of contraction, of closing down, and coming into the full and soft and compassionate embrace of this forgiveness, of this intention of letting go, freeing yourselves and freeing all others, disengaging from any and all negative energy signatures, cellular traumas, negative beliefs, releasing, releasing, releasing. And as we release and let go and transmute, we feel, see, sense, and embody the full felt sense of freedom, taking that bigger breath, allowing ourselves to come into a greater state of embodying our I am presence. Gosaria santushan tokuryanye, asakuru antariani, ishtara karasun kurusuni, ariani akarasuku, itish taranyanye, usandaria sakarusu. As these guides step forward, Kuan Yin steps in, placing her hands upon the center of your diamond heart and pouring radiant streams and bands of compassion all around, allowing for you to feel, sense, and know this deep compassion for self. Whether you play the role of the victim or the victimizer, or both, many times, one time, matters not. Bringing forth this compassion so as to further expand and allow to come into the softness and the invitation of this forgiveness. As you begin to feel on a cellular level, and within your cellular water, you begin to feel and understand the invitation of freedom that comes with engaging in true forgiveness. It's divine forgiveness. You begin to sense and feel and see and know yourselves as the infinite individual expressions of source that you are. And as you allow yourself to feel and see and know this, you can watch the densities, the anger, the fear, the judgment of self and others wash away. Asa oturi akurunenia ayata usuturisinianu andaria karisukashaniani ishtarakurini anuturusukurs ayashikur ayania. Bringing in this decree and allowing it to radiate through your cellular water and DNA into any and all experiences that you are ready to let go of, to disengage from, and to truly alchemize through this invitation of forgiveness. Forgive me, forgive you. Love me, love you. Compassion for me, compassion for you. Gratitude for me, gratitude for you. Washing away as you feel your body releasing. Perhaps on a physical level, you feel your body releasing, trembling, letting go, giving it permission to let go. You may feel the emotions of many rising within. And through this alchemical flame of forgiveness, allowing these radiant rays of diamond rainbow light to instantaneously carry away and transmute, honoring, bring home the fragments of yourself that were left behind in this quantum field of entanglement, bringing home the gifts that were left behind in those experiences, while simultaneously letting yourself release any and all negative thoughts, beliefs, and energies. Feeling this radiant rainbow frequency flowing down, down, down through your feet, now coming out the bottom of your feet and flowing and rooting deep down into the crystalline diamond core and womb center of Sophia Gaia, our Earth Mother, connecting you into her diamond grid network and allowing for you to feel, sense, and know when I choose to show up in this profound way, calling upon the sacred source frequencies, master frequency of forgiveness, calling upon my breath, calling upon my full conscious awareness and presence. Divine healing miracles take place not only for myself, but for all that is. Feeling this invitation to step even deeper into your service of ascension, and assisting the all that is, knowing that you are a radiant beacon of divine love and light, that every single cell of your existence throughout all space and time is worthy of unconditional love, compassion, gratitude, and grace. Allowing yourself to feel this as these many beings and masters are showering you with infinite spectrum of love, compassion, embrace. Gratitude to you for showing up in this incarnation and experiencing the depths of polarity that you have chosen to experience. Gratitude for you for showing up in this now moment and honoring yourself and bringing in greater bandwidths of self-love and self-compassion. Gratitude for you for allowing yourself to embody in your cellular water and DNA the grander invitation of the Christ consciousness of divine forgiveness, knowing that it is one of the most profound and masterful ways of contributing to the rebirthing and resurrection of unified consciousness. Ustaria Santaria Senye, Ushotukurusuninia, Aria Tuturshania Kurusuni, Ushanta Okori Anianie, Arieta Ushantu. Coming back into your heart space now, ever so gently, bringing yourself back into this now moment, back into your high heart, and allowing yourself to take some deep breaths and ground yourself back into the here and now. And so it is, and so it is, and so it is. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Taking your time, coming back gently.
Wow, where am I? Oh my goodness, that was beautiful. That was so powerful. I don't even know where I am in this moment. It's like, oh goodness, thank you. Oh,
Right, thank you.
how's everybody doing? Ah, good. Rita's doing good. Awesome. I'm not quite fully here yet, but wow. Yeah. Joy says thank you. Namaste. Yeah, that was powerful. Marjan says thank you. Namaste. Oh my goodness. I have no words. I'm speechless. Brenda said, so incredible. Thank you. Yeah, right? I know, right? It's like, oh my goodness. I feel great. Right?
Thank you.
Did I even I did have some intention at the beginning, I remember now vaguely, but there was something I was releasing. Can't quite catch it, but there was something. Yeah, Jody says, thank you. That was so beautiful.
Oh,
Good.
Thank you. Okay.
Linda, thank you so much. So be sure you all ground. Obviously, I need to ground some more, right? So be sure you all ground, drink some water, drink something, eat something.
Yes, definitely. that's one of the challenges, I think, with going into such a big frequency in a short period of time. So definitely honor yourselves and put your feet on the grass, put your feet in the dirt. To your point, Alara, yes, maybe even just taking a few moments, and
Yeah.
And,
Tim says, I ask forgiveness for not wanting to do my day job anymore. I don't blame you. Meryl says, thank you. That was beautiful. Yeah, absolutely. And so if you'd like to work, more deeply with Brooklyn, check out her 2 packages. They're available at alara.at/show/Brooklyn4. I feel like, I don't know it's like, I'm so red. So
I know, I
like,
got very, very hot. There was a lot of alchemy taking place in a small pocket of time. So
Yeah.
if you're like me right now, you're on fire.
yeah, exactly. So, oh goodness. So any last words of, when does the breath work begin and end? You mean the, what do you mean by that? Layla? Like it's Monday to
Well,
Friday at a specific time. It's in the
yes.
thing.
So as soon as you, if you were to desire to choose the package, as soon as you do that, then I would, you can just email me to say when you desire to start, your start date.
Mhm.
And then it is, the times are listed
Yeah.
in the package, but it's Monday, Wednesday, Friday, 11:15 a.m. Eastern time, and then Tuesdays and Thursdays, 9:30 a.m. Eastern time.
Yeah. So yeah, Layla said the date, April. So I can start whenever you want to start. Let Brooklyn know. Let Brooklyn know
Yes.
when you want to start.
I would probably recommend starting on a Monday, and then you go into having a full week, but there's no wrong or right. You can start whenever.
Yeah, whatever feels right to you, right? So.
Yes, exactly.
Whew. All right. So do the guides, do you have any last words of wisdom for us? Did we cover everything? And that's the other question. It's like, what did I not ask?
Yes, no, I think we did. I think, it's such a beautiful group of light beings here. And that just speaks to the level of sort of palpability, if that's even a word, of what was just experienced in the transmission. And, I think they're funny. This, if there was one thing to just leave everybody with today, it's just that, that invitation to go into the deeper, surrender and trust in yourself as the infinite creator being that you are, just dissolving and allowing all the rest of the minutia to melt away, and really spend as much of time as you possibly desire in that space of connection, of connecting with yourself as source.
Absolutely. And divine timing is every moment. So, that was one of the messages I got during this whole call, is like, about not judging, what have I done? What have I not done? Oh my God, I resisted so much. No, everything happens in divine timing. Everything is perfect as it is, right?
Exactly.
I'm perfect as I am, so it's like, we're here now in this moment, and everything brought us to where we are right now. Everything serves us. Everything has served us. It's all beautiful. So that part of it you can accept, right? That is that accepting that, yes, all is good. Okay. And everything brought us to this moment in time that we are right now. So, yeah. So, oh, this was amazing. We'll definitely have to have you back on, Brooklyn. I don't know why it took us so long to get you on the books. Oh my goodness, it was so much fun.
Well, thank you. I had a wonderful time, and I would be honored. So thank you so much.
Yeah, this was so cool. It was like, oh goodness, I'm still burning up. So everybody drink some water, walk around, breathe, connect to, Mother Earth, connect to your feet, whatever you got to do to ground. But that was amazing. And focus on how you feel different now. Not how you felt before, but how you feel now. Okay.
I will
Beautiful.
say one little tidbit.
Yeah.
When you said that you couldn't remember your intention, the guides wanted to point out that because you transcended to a higher timeline potential.
Mhm.
So it's no longer relevant. I love when they say stuff like that.
Yay, it's no
Yay.
longer relevant. Awesome. I don't have to remember what it was. It's like, it's all good.
Yes.
It's all good. Yeah, absolutely. Good. Thank you. And thank you so much, everybody, for all of your questions. Amazing, amazing questions. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Thank you for sharing your energy with us today. And thank you again, Brooklyn. This was this was awesome, even with our technical difficulties, you know, it's like no idea what's going
We
on there.
persevered.
Yeah, we did, and it was amazing.
Thank you.
So thank you, thank you, thank you, everyone. Oh my goodness. And wow. Until next time, may you continue to be blessed with an I can't even talk. Until next time, may you continue to be blessed with an abundance of joy, peace, love, happiness, prosperity, and radiant health. Sending you all much love and blessings always. Bye for now.
Thank you. Bye. Thank
Bye.
you.
Thank you.